Hello. Today I'm talking about accountability groups and how accountability group, pardon me, can really help you grow your business. And in this live stream, I'm going to share with you 10 things that I learned from building my group, which, funnily enough, was approximately 8 years in the making and much more than just one single group. And I'm going to share with you, if you're thinking about accelerating your business, how an accountability group can really help you to do that, support you, and just have so many benefits that you just can't imagine. So we're going to dive right in. Hi, I'm Charlene Tessier. I'm the founder of Strength and Numbers, and I help you use strategic live streamings to find your fans online, to grow your audience base, fill those courses, workshops, and virtual events, and use strategic live streaming to do it. First, we'll start out with what's an accountability group. You may have heard of these before in the entrepreneurial space. It's quite popular. You may even be in sort of like a paid accountability check-in, things like that. But in case you don't know what it is, an accountability group is a small group of people who agree to get together, usually once a week at a set time, and they hold each other accountable for doing something. And I'll get into that a little bit more, what that something could be. But it's very popular among entrepreneurs who gather together. They all could have different businesses or could be in the same industry, and they want to keep themselves accountable to ensure that they're working on the right things in your business. It's very, very easy to be working in your business, working on all the operational stuff, and not working on the things that are most important. And an accountability group can help you ensure that you work on the things that are the most important to really drive your business forward. And that often is sales and doing offers and asks. The thing you don't like doing the most is the thing you probably have to do. And just relying on your sheer own willpower to do that often doesn't work. But having somebody that you're accountable to or a group of people can often strengthen you to make those changes much, much quicker. So why are these accountability groups so powerful? And I already started to speak a bit about them. They can help you to not criticize, but give you very constructive feedback about challenges you might be facing. In a group, people have different experiences and are in slightly different stages of their business. And they may have learned something and can teach that to you, or you have learned something and can teach to them and can give value from a variety of your life experiences, as well as experience in business or something that you've read or learned. In addition, the reason that accountability groups are so powerful is that if everybody is an active participant, you can see strides in your business in a very positive and quick way because they are there to ensure that they hear that you're doing the right thing and you're moving your business forward. And often, what happens is you know that your meeting's coming up and you're going to have to report, to the group. And what you may procrastinate on, say on Monday, thinking, procrastinate. And Tuesday, you realize, oh, great, I got to tell the group on Thursday. Maybe I better start working on this. And so you kind of haul through it on Tuesday, and you might even haul through it on Wednesday so that you can report that you did it on Thursday. And that is one of the most powerful things about accountability groups, is that it ensures that you move your business forward. So I'm going to talk to you about how to create an accountability group. And that actually getting a group of people together is much harder than it looks. And I've learned this pretty much from firsthand experience. And the reason I know that they are so hard is that I know that I've heard, of course, by readings, that accountability groups are so amazing. They're so powerful. You got to have them, right? And I wanted to have one for my business when I first started out, because you're just kind of running all over the place. Also, an entrepreneur journey is very lonely. And being with those who are on the same journey as you and understand your pains. And yes, your family is there and whatnot, but they may not truly understand the pains of an entrepreneurial journey. It's a very kind of unique experience. And being with those who understand that, especially when you have your lows, because all entrepreneurial journeys have highs and quite a few lows, especially in the beginning, it keeps you motivated and you have a support group there. And so when I originally started my business 8 years ago, I really wanted to build an accountability group. And I led over 6 groups. I started and led over 6 groups. And the first few groups in the first few years really did not work. They were complete disastrous failure. And I'll explain a little bit more why they were a failure, but they um, what happened was after I think about 3 years or so, I just decided I didn't want to do that anymore. And then when I revamped my business, I joined some business programs, and they kind of had an accountability component sort of built into it a little bit. So I didn't have a desire to have one. But when I left that business community, I was sort of a little bit scared because I was just this all my business out on lurch. And I spoke a bit about that one of my last live streams about networking and getting out there, because otherwise it's a very lonely journey. And I didn't want to just go to networking. I really wanted to be in a safe space, accountability space, where those would be there long term. We would actually talk about failures, which is something that many entrepreneurs don't like to talk about, especially even in networkings. People don't want to admit that things went wrong, things didn't work, these things happened. And in a safe accountability group, you can actually discuss these in a safe way and really learn from them, because your business will grow much, much faster when you learn from your failures than having this perpetual success, which doesn't honestly happen. And so 2 years ago, like I said, I left this business program. And when I was deciding what I was going to do, because I was going to be kind of on my own, I decided that I wanted to start an accountability group. And a few other people were leaving the program at the same time. And so I asked them, and there was 5 or so, I guess. Our founding members was 4 2 years ago. And they all kind of felt the same thing. We were all a little bit anxious about leaving this program because we felt we would just be by ourselves. And without the support, things could kind of, our business probably may not have succeeded as it could have succeeded. And after 2 years, actually more than 2 years now, it's the same group, is still going strong. The 4 founding members are still there, and we actually added 4 members very slowly over time. And now we're at 8 members strong and still going. And I'm going to talk a bit about why this was my first successful accountability group. And in this year, I started 2 more groups based on the principles of this first one. And there were many things that this successful group had that my past groups did not have. And I'm going to share with you the 10 things that this group has and why it's so successful. The first is, many people think an accountability group is just a group of people who meet each week. And they're just going to grab a bunch of entrepreneurial friends together and meet. And that's what I did in the beginning. I asked around, and a bunch of people came, and sometimes they would come, sometimes they wouldn't. Sometimes we discussed stuff, sometimes we didn't. And it was really just bizarrely hodgepodge. It just didn't really work. So one of the mistakes that many groups, people who want to start a group, make is that they think they can just invite anybody and everybody under the sun and it's going to work. And it's not going to work, to be honest. It's generally the reason that the group that I have now worked so well was that we came from a program with a certain underlying knowledge base. And we all understood and knew this knowledge and this framework and rules. We actually have a specific framework that we use for our business. And by having this base knowledge in the group, it helped us to actually have common goals. That was the main thing, was that we actually had a very clear and common objective of what we wanted this group to do. And we had a clear framework as to how it would work. And that is one of the many downfalls of most accountability groups, again, is just having a group that's hodgepodge of people with not a very clear goal. And often that goal is too big and diverse. The goal has to be actually quite narrow as to the purpose of the group. Again, because it just won't be very effective otherwise. And so I will talk a little bit more at the end about some of the goals we have and how some of the few different groups I am in and run have these very specific goals and how they operate. The other thing that this accountability group has, which a lot of people don't like to want to have, is that it needs to actually have a clear beginning and end, and it needs to have rest breaks, breaks to where people can step out. And if it has a clear beginning and end, there's two benefits to that. The first is it's a way to intake people at the beginning. And so we are all moving through a driven goal for a set time, which everybody knows about. And if they can't commit to that, then they can wait till the next cycle comes around. It also gives an opportunity for those who are in a group and need a break. Maybe they're experiencing burnout. Maybe something happened in their family or personal life and they need to step away from the group. This gives them they can either exit, of course, or at any time, but it also gives them a clear exit point. And many groups don't want to. They just want to have this group into perpetuity. And that often causes groups to actually not be able to sustain the test of time. And it's because people need breaks. Just like we need holidays, people need breaks, and setting times that are very clear breaks. For example, my group that's been running for 2 years with the 4 founding members, and many of the other 4 members have been with us for at least a year. The reason we are able to sort of stand the test of time is that there is set breaks at Christmas time and in the summer where we just don't meet. We get time off. And if you need to skip a cycle, because we do it in cycles of 4 months, you can just tell the group and step out, and we'll either put in a new member or we will leave the group as it is or bring you back. So having clear times frames and trying it out, even some groups, maybe they are only intended to live for 3 or 4 months and its purpose has served its purpose and it's done. And just having these clear entries and exits and breaks makes the group actually live much, much longer. The group size is also very critical. I started my founding group with 4 people, and to be honest, it was a little bit small. The knowledge base and experience is a little bit tiny when you only have 4 people. Our ideal was when we kind of hit 6, because it gave enough time in a 1-hour meeting to everybody have time to discuss and not really have to rush. And it was kind of the ideal, but we actually did end up growing to 8, which we're at right now. And at 8, it is a little bit tight to do it in an hour. But we decided to grow to 8 because sometimes people can't make it. And majority of people make it, I would say 80 to 90% of the time. The show up rate is very, very high. And just the value they get is so amazing that they really just don't want to miss out. They don't want to have, and that was spoken about at our last meeting yesterday when we all came back from our summer holidays. It's like, wow, I really, one member said to me, I really didn't realize how much I missed meeting you guys until we stopped meeting each other for the summer holidays. And everybody showed up on the first day. Everybody was so excited to be back and to, start the next, to finish the year strong. And so having a group of just the right size of people can really facilitate that. And preferably you want people to stay at least 4 months. And again, it's not very long. 3 to 4 months is not very long. It's enough for them to at least try it out, see if they like it. And if they want to exit, let them exit. Don't make people stay who really don't want to be there or don't feel there's value to them. It's just not going to be beneficial for the group. And you can always intake people. And when we intake people, one of the things we also do is that we only intake 1 per every 4 month cycle. And the reason is because if you have a group of already 5 or 6, they've already kind of formed and gelled, and they have certain experiences and things together that happens over time very organically. And if you add too many people to the mix, the new one is always a little bit of the outsider. And so it's trying to fold them into the group, and it takes time. And so having just that one person each time is sort of the better way to do that. The administration of the group, so how the group operates, needs to be as lightweight as possible. So I am the organizer of the group, and my administrative time for all three groups is 0, with the exception of the time that I spend going to the meetings, which is the whole purpose of me going to those meetings. And the reason we want it to be almost next to 0 is because if it becomes so administrative heavily for me, it means I won't really want to do it. And it makes it so that the group's not enjoyable to do. And the way I have it is so that actually the participants in the group all step up and sort of do a little bit of their own admin and help contribute ideas and things like that. So it grows organically without me being the one who has to sort of lead the charge. That isn't the purpose of an accountability group. The goal each week also has to be visible to all members. And we didn't speak too much about that. I did speak earlier about one of the main things: you have to have a very clear objective or goal. And the other thing you need to have is a way for everybody to know where everybody is at any moment in time. And that was one of the biggest struggles and challenges I had with my group that I'm currently in. It took us more than a year to actually figure that out, how to bring the administrative time down to almost 0, and how to make it so that we knew where everybody was, even though they were all having very different businesses. And everybody's in a very different point in their business and have very different industries and businesses. And so keeping track of that in your mind every week is impossible. And therefore, when you come, you share your share, but the rest of the group kind of can't really contribute if they don't know where you're at. And so having a way to administratively keep track of that without needing to keep it in your head, but being able to see it in a split second was one of our greatest challenge. And we solved that. And the group also takes quite a bit of time to form and relationships to build. And that is about the intake again, about the in and out, and that when you start with 4 to 6 and run it for 3 to 4 months and see how it goes. It takes time for groups to form and gel and storm and whatnot, and to actually get to become highly productive. Whether or not we are in our own businesses and driving through individual goals, we are still in a way driving to the goal of building a successful business online. That's our ultimate goal for all business owners in this group. And it takes time for that to happen. An accountability group is one of the most powerful tools that you can have in your business, and to not only grow your business, but to keep your business on track and save time. In the 2 years that I have spent in this accountability group, the 4 founding members have actually accelerated, doubled everything that they lists, sales, offer, everything that we could have done. We did it because of that group. And that group was, I would say, the main driving factor. And the other 3 founding members also state that it's the founding factor as to why their business is doing so well as it is today. It's because the accountability group can bring to you something that you can never, ever achieve as an individual. The entrepreneurial journey is very long, very rough, and very difficult. And there are highs and lows. And in those lows, they can become very low, and having not only a group to bring your low to in a very safe way, or even reaching out to individual members can help you in so many ways, that from isolation, from getting out of your own mind, because you're kind of in your business so much, you can't really achieve that on your own. And it's something, for me, is one of the main benefits of having a group. I'll talk just very quickly on the goals or the objectives. The goal and the objective of my long-term group is to grow our business online. It's very, very, very clear. But the goal and objective of the accountability group is to ensure that we do the right work, the right tasks, so that we are actually driving our business forward. And this manifests itself in us setting our goals every 4 months, posting our goals to the group where everybody can see everybody's goal, and each week updating the progress of the goal. And we can see your personal running thread of where you're starting at, and each week as you're progressing. And because this is the lightweight administration, as well as knowing where everybody is at every moment of time without having to keep it in our brain, is we look at that at the start of the meeting, And we can see if you've been writing the same thing every week, or the thing you've been writing is not matching to the goal, then the group's going to ask you what's going on, right? What do you need help with? Where are you stuck? Why are you stuck there? And let's get you forward. And that is essentially the objective of that group. I have another group where we are working on productivity and self-improvement and focused work. And we use, again, the baseline of a course that we all participated in and want to sort of deep dive and get better at it. And each week we tackle one part of that course together, and we discuss challenges that we have, things that are working, things that are not working, and how can we better implement the learning from that course in our daily lives this week, or the week before, right? So again, it's a very clear and driven goals to how we're trying to do this. And then the third group that I recently started, and it's just forming up, is another form of accountability, and that's me wanting to be consistent at being and posting on LinkedIn. And the other members want to do the same thing, create consistently posting on LinkedIn first. Maybe eventually we will have stuff around copywriting, feedback, whatever. But the main goal right now is all of us are not consistently posting and engaging. Let's band together and hold each other accountable to find out why you are or are not posting consistently on LinkedIn. So it's a very clear and simple goal. And, each one has its kind of lifespan. My longest running group, I think it will continue running for many, many years. I don't think I will ever disband it. The group I have around Focus, it's planned to run for approximately 1 year, although you can exit at any time. And then my newest group, we decided to actually only run it till the end of December. And again, setting those beginning and end points, entries and exits, and testing it. That is one of the most beneficial things you can do if you want to start your accountability group. If you would like to be a part of my community, it is not the accountability group that I spoke about, but if you want to talk more about this, I love to share that with you. It's something that's really changed my life, changed my business, and I found that it was harder to do than it looked. And even though there's tons of material out there on the internet, it wasn't until through trial and error that really was able to be part of these amazing communities that I'm currently part of, not only my accountability group, but I'm also part of a few other communities that I mentioned before. And just being immersed with the right kind of entrepreneurs has supported me in ways that I can't imagine, and have made my entrepreneurial journey just really fun, enjoyable, and some of the best relationships and friends have emerged from this. Well, I would love to hear from you. I will put in the comments down below my community that you can join for free. It's not on Facebook, it's not on LinkedIn, it's private in a safe space. And I would love to hear about any accountability groups you're part of, that you've been trying to build or want to build, anything around that. I'd love to hear from you. And thank you for being with me today. It's a little bit longer, but thanks again. See you next time.